I'm sitting next to my boat on a Friday afternoon. It's the 10th of July today. I'm getting the last rays of the sun. Beautiful spot here. Just wishing that the wind would die down, especially in the coming days and the next week, because I've got a full week to dedicate to boat building next week. I've got a week of leave from BMI. I've done a few bits and pieces in this week gone past. 2 heavy rainy days, so didn't get too much done then, but in between times I've thought a lot initially about the gunnel arrangement, and then had to cut my coat according to my cloth and use the timbers that I've got. So I needed to lengthen them, so I've done 2 scarf joints and glued them up, and they look pretty good to me. It was quite a big deal, the scarf joints. I spent ages looking at different ways people do cut planks, long planks for scarfing. In the end, I did it fairly traditionally, I think. I measured up each piece and put it on the edge of a timber board and drew from the line, planed from the line down to the edge, feather edge, and they fit together pretty well. So I'm pleased with that. I fitted the shear strakes, as you know. Inevitably, there's a bit of a difference now that they're glued up in the heights, so I'm going to need to shape them, only at the stern end, I think. But there's a bit of work, and then the gunnels will go on. And that's kind of the first major task for the coming week, is to get those gunnels sorted. But then also the other jobs are going to be the stern section of the boat, the rudder, the foredeck, Samson post, bowsprit. So I'm aiming to get quite a lot done in the next 9 or 10 days, and I'll keep you posted. It's a bright, sunny Sunday. Start again. It's a bright, sunny Monday, the 13th of July. It's the beginning of my week of work. Over the weekend, Dad and I have had lots of conversations and thinking about designing an outboard well, where that would fit in the stern section. And we've referenced various other boats, the Hawk being one. Also looked at the Drascombe lugger, the Deben lugger. Well, last night I actually thought that I don't know if I want an outboard, initially anyway. Sail and oar are the methods of propulsion of choice, clean methods of propulsion. And so in order not to mess about and delay too long in trying to understand and finally come up with a design for an outboard well, I'm going to go ahead and do the stern section without a well initially. I've thought about this. I can always cut through the decking and into the bulkhead to put an outboard well in, should I want one later. And then preferably it's going to be an electric outboard, not a petrol outboard. But coming to the present, contemplating the schedule for today, and I really want to get a move on now, because I've been looking at the boat as it is for the last few days and not doing too much actual work. And there's a timeline that I'm working towards. So the jobs today are to cut away the overhanging shear strakes at the stern and at the bow to get rid of the extra length of the inner stem. I need to fit the hog, which screws, and it's epoxied and screwed through the floor into the skeg underneath. And then I want to take measurements and start to cut the beams for the breast hook up at the bow and the stiffeners for the transom, as well as the bulkhead, the last bulkhead before the transom, frame D. And I'd like to put the gunnels on, just clamp them on to size them up and think about the end shapes. So quite a lot to get done today, and I hope later to show some of the results of what I'll get onto in a few minutes. Good morning. It's Wednesday. It's about 6:30, I think. Making another early start today because I've got a lot to do. I'm going to switch the camera in a minute and just have a look over the bits that I've done and explain the challenge that I've got. So here we go. As you can see, we've now got an innel around the inside of the boat. I've yet to do the gunnel, but that first bit's done. And this is what I've been focusing on in the last couple of days, the stern section. So I've got a nice hardwood beam across that frame. I've made up a hardwood part for the top of the transom, and I'm just trying to finish the beams and the stringers for the stern deck. I got held up yesterday because it started raining. So I've done something that I'm quite proud of. I've rebaited the hardwood so that the plywood deck will sit inside of that. So it'll have a kind of a hardwood edge, which is nice. But this is the thing that I'm really struggling with. I need to make these joins on this side. And because the transom is sloped, I've had to cut the top edge of the beam. So what I need to do is half check these stringers into that beam, and I don't really want to waste any of this wood, so I need to get it right first time. We'll see how that goes. We'll show that later. But in the meantime, I'm going to make a start. I've got the hog cut. I'll put that in today. There's one in the stern as well. And up at the bow, I've started working on the Samson post and the two beams that go under the breast hook. More about that later. Here we go. A good productive morning so far. A few bits that you can see. There's the hardwood beam across that last bulkhead. Then there are the stringers for the stern deck. I've got a beam across the transom, and at the top I've got another hardwood piece to kind of finish off the top of the transom. So I was really worried, or didn't know, couldn't quite envisage those joins at the transom end because that beam has got a weird shape. But in the end, I managed to get them to fit quite nicely. Nothing a bit of thickened epoxy won't cure later on. And yeah, this is the setup. Just glued up now. I'm going to have a cup of tea and then crack on with the bow section. I want to get those beams and the measurements for the breast hook and that lot sorted out today, hopefully. And maybe even end off with the outer part of the gunnel, gluing that on. I'll see. Anyway, just a bit of an update. It's Saturday today, the 18th of July. Yesterday, Sally helped me fit the seats and the stern deck, and then we spent ages working on the foredeck, trying to get the port side piece to fit. Make a start on that, and we got it pretty close by the time we finished, about 8:30 last night. It wasn't 100% right, but I had an idea of what I would need to do. So this morning, really early, I got to it, and I have to say probably more luck than real skill and understanding. But I managed to tweak the left-hand side one and then brought the other one alongside it, and spent ages looking at the pencil marks I had drawn. And it's so difficult to know when you take a bit of length off what happens to the full length of the curve. But I, like I say, probably more by luck than anything else, I managed to cut it right, and first time as well. And so I was really happy. I showed Dad this morning with them sitting in place with the full long curve back to the hull sides. But I wasn't sure that I could keep those long curves because of the mast setup. So there's a a block of wood that I'm going to mount onto the deck, and it needs to take the half curve or half circle for the mast to fit into it, and it needs to jut out 20 millimeters from the bulkhead to give the mast the right angle of rake. So I found a nice flexible piece of old curtain rail and set the block up in the position and put the new curve on. Looked really good. Took the left-hand piece down, cut the curve, put it back on the boat, and it was completely in the wrong position. What had happened was I had cut it far too far forward. So actually, when it reached from the side of the boat to the center line of that piece, the center line of the boat, the deck piece itself was just forward of the frame. So it was still sitting on the beam, but really it needed to be quite a way in front of that frame so that I could put the wooden piece. So I was completely dismayed at that point. I couldn't believe that I had miscalculated so badly. It was a good cut, nice curve, but it was just completely in the wrong place. So I had to come to terms with the fact that I had completely messed up that piece. I hadn't touched the other piece, but it didn't do me any good. So I started thinking, what are my options? One would have been to get a new piece of marine ply and use the left-hand piece as a template and just redo the whole thing. But that's quite expensive. There was nothing open or available this morning, being Saturday. Then the other option I thought of was, well, maybe I do have some 9mm offcut, so maybe I could do a scarf join. Scary thought, because it meant having to cut the piece that I'd already put in place. The curve was wrong, but it was following the hull profile very, very nicely. And I would have had to cut that along the frame to make a straight edge, and then get the offcut piece and scarf it along that straight edge, and then get the curve of the hull going backwards. So I hummed and hawed for ages about that, and what I'm going to show you in a minute is what happened in the end. So here goes. That's what I've ended up with. So what I did in the end was a scarf join. You could probably see it if I get a bit closer up. It's this join here. So now this piece I'd originally started way back here, and so out of this deck piece the curve I cut was too close to the bulkhead. So I've put this whole piece back on, and now when I take the batten to do the curve, it's going to come in front of this piece, and I've got enough to take it. So that's going to be the new curve, and it's all going to fit. And I have to just show this scarf join, because it's a first for me. First time scarfing a piece of plywood. I don't want to cock it up now, but these are the two pieces. So that's what they look like, planed down on either side, and then when they fit together there's a nice big gluing surface, so they should be strong. They are on the bulkhead, which is good news. And anyway, I'm going to be putting stringers underneath the pieces of the deck. So this piece that I will have scarved on will have a stringer that comes along the hull. So I'll share this when it's all glued up. Catch you later. It's Monday evening, 20th of July. I'm walking out to the boat. This is the timber for the mast and the yard that arrived today. So I need to organise myself, make a proper spar gauge, and then first step is laminating, because each spar has 2 pieces. This gunnel that you can see is not been fixed yet. I've needed to rescarf the other one, which is busy gluing there. Hopefully that'll be done, and tomorrow I'll be able to fit both gunnels. I think I've got enough clamps. So here's a view of the Petit Brise. You can see the stern deck and the seats have been fitted. Bit of cutting on the forward thwart, but here are some bits and pieces. Bowsprit in the middle, not quite finished, but pretty much the dimensions. There's my foredeck, port side, scarved, 2 pieces of plywood. Underneath that is a solid piece. There's a white, something I found in a building dump nearby. Something flexible that I measured the foredeck curve with, so you can see the curves there, but next time you can see them in position. And then under that tarpaulin, there's Samson post, which is yet to be fitted, but it's pretty much measured. And I did a measurement of the breast hook today. I took a template on a piece of 3mm ply I had lying about. And I think I figured how I'm going to do that, simplest way possible. Under the tarp there, you can just get a view of a stringer along the hull. Now that's to support the curve of the foredeck, the overhang. Similar on that side. And I put another beam aft of that frame. So that's it. Just a quick view. I'm hoping in the next few days to start fitting all these bits and pieces and giving another view of the gunnel and the breast hook and the foredeck on. I think I'll leave the seats and the thwarts off until I've turned the boat again and done the outside, and then flip it back, and last thing will be to get these seats and things fitted. So quite exciting times. I've got 2 weeks to go is my deadline, so let's see how I get on. Just wanted to give a quick view of this step that I'm doing now. I'm gluing the outwill on to complete the gunnel, and this morning I thought I would try and get both of these pieces on this afternoon, but I don't have enough clamps. And if you look and see how many clamps I've used on this, yeah, I've pretty much used every clamp I have. I've got the little, there's a few smaller clamps that I use to do the shear strake, but I don't think they're strong enough really to put the pressure needed for this gunnel. So that's the gunnel going on the port side. Over here, it's hopefully get to that one tomorrow afternoon. But also just a quick look at the curve that I've got on the foredeck. That's the hardwood piece that I need to sort out for the mast, the keeper. There's the Samson post, which needs to be shaped. I've kept it a bit long, maybe carve a little figurehead in the top or something. And in front of the Samson post is where the breast hook goes. So I've actually taken the measurement for that, but it's not there at the moment. And this will be the capping on top of the centerboard case. And as I said last time, these seats need to be cut, the forward thwart. So it's coming on, next thing will be to get that other gunnel on tomorrow, and then I have to deal with the spars. So maybe when I get the other gunnel on, I'll post this video and then do the spars separately. All right, catch you later. Right, sit Fred. Up and over.
Please just lift the frame, right?
Actually, hold on. Maybe we should pull it further.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Still.
But can you pick it up?
Well, I mean, right,
Yeah.
keep going. Is there going to be space for it to land?
It will land okay.
Should pull it back this way again.
Easy.
Okay. Like that.
Well, yeah, cool. Okay. Slowly.
You alright?
Yeah. Just be careful it doesn't slip back and get you. Okay.
Oh, that was hold it for going too far.
Nicely done, lads.